Good morning YouTube and welcome to the Lotus Elan M100 restoration series. Today we are looking at instrument illumination. That is to say, we are looking at the instrument lights but we are not seeing them because either this Elan is in the special night fighter stealth mode or maybe they're just not working. Now if you have some of your clocks illuminated but not others, this video isn't for you. In that case it's probably just that the bulbs are blown in individual clocks, or possibly there's a problem with the wiring or the earthing of some of the lamps themselves. Also, if you think the car might really be in night fighter stealth mode, this video isn't really for you either. This video is for you if, like me, you have no instrument illumination anywhere on your dashboard, so you know there's a problem with the system, or you just need to know how to find out what that problem is and how to fix it. Now, depending on what model of car you've got, the lights should be on either when you have the lighting switch on or when you have the ignition on. Now on Series 1 cars, the lights were illuminated when you turn the lighting switch to the side light position. For Series 2 cars, to help deal with condensation forming in the clocks, they changed that so that when you turn the ignition on to the ignition on position, then the lights should be lit up all the time. The complication is that at that time apparently a service bulletin was issued to Lotus dealers on how to modify Series 1 cars so that the instruments were illuminated with the ignition the same way the Series 2 are. So if you've got a Series 1 car, it might be that your lights are supposed to come on when you turn the ignition switch on rather than when you turn the lighting switch on. Either way, it doesn't really matter. The point is that if you have the ignition on, and you can see all the telltales on the dashboard lit up there, and you have the lights turned to the side light position, you should have all your clocks illuminated with nice orange backlights, and clearly we don't, so there's a problem here. Now, the system comprises of two components really. There's a rheostat on the dashboard here, which is that little knob. You turn it anti-clockwise and the lights should go dim, you turn it fully clockwise and they should be shining brightly, and clearly they're not working at all in either direction there. And that is connected to a thing called the rheostat module. Now the rheostat module sits in a relay block down here by the door post, the driver's door post. So if you've got a right-hand drive car, that relay block is just underneath the dashboard there in that sort of position by your right knee. If you've got a left-hand drive car, it's the same, but exactly the same, but on the other side, on the left-hand side. Now the rheostat itself is really quite hard to get at because it's right up behind the dashboard, but the good news is that the rheostat module is quite easily accessible. It's just here in the relay block underneath the dashboard, and we can test the rheostat from where that rheostat module plugs in there. So in the next video we're going to be down in the footwell, upside down, and we're going to be looking upwards to the underside of the dashboard there, and I'll show you where that rheostat module is, and then we'll start doing the testing of both the rheostat module and the rheostat itself. Now you notice in this car I've got the seat removed, which makes it a lot easier. I had to remove the seat anyway for another job, and that makes it a lot easier to get the relay block. You don't need to remove the seat to do this. There's plenty of space for you in the footwell there, just rammed in there upside down looking upwards. There's plenty of space as long as you're less than about 4.5 foot tall, but you'll manage. Okay folks, right, we're under the dashboard. We're stuffed into the footwell, looking upwards, back up towards the instrument cluster. Now, the green one there, the big one, that is your rheostat module. Now, you may, if you've got a lot more patience than me, be able to do this with this grey relay in place, but I think it's far easier for you if you just remove that one. This is one of the relays that controls the window up and down, so I would recommend you take that one out and put it in a safe place while we work on the rheostat module, just to give you some clearance so you can see what you're doing. So that's our rheostat module. If we unplug that, you can see it fits into that red socket. Now there are 6 pins on the rheostat module.
This is the relevant circuit diagram from the workshop manual, which shows, schematically at least, how the system works. So depending on whether you have a Series 1 or Series 2 car, when you have either the side lights on or the ignition switched on, then 12 volts is applied to pin number 6. That voltage is passed to the rheostat itself through pins number 4, 7 and 9, which act as a potential divider, and then depending on the position of the rheostat, then between about 6 and 10 volts is passed to the instrument lights themselves through pin number 8, and the system is earthed through pin number 5. Now that would be a very useful diagram were any of those pin numbers actually marked on the rheostat module itself, but unfortunately they're not. However, we are here to please and we love you, so we've taken the time and trouble to make you this diagram so you can identify which pin is which. So I'm going to be doing some tests on this socket. I'm going to be talking about pin numbers, so you may want to make a short sketch of these so you know which pin is which.
Okay, with the ignition switch or the lighting switch on, the first test we need to do is to make sure we've actually got power coming to the module. We've got 12 volt power coming into the module, and that power should come in on this pin, pin number 6. So what we're going to do to test that is we've got a voltmeter set up here. The earth lead of the voltmeter is earthed against that thing there, which is the steering column, which provides you with a perfectly good earth, or at least it does on my car. So with the voltmeter earthed against a good earth, we're just going to put the positive probe onto pin number 6 here with the switch on, and we should see, yep, there we go, we've got 15.2 volts coming into the module. So that confirms we've got power to the system. Okay folks, second test. So once we've confirmed we've got 12 volt power to the module coming in at pin 6, the next thing we've done here is connected a bridging wire between that pin, pin 6, and the output pin, which is pin number 8. So as you're looking up at the module, we've got a one wire which is joining the terminals which are at the bottom right as you're looking at it, pin 6, to the center one on the left hand side, which is pin 8. So that's connecting up the 12 volt coming into the module and the output to the lights themselves. Now if you do that and turn your lighting switch or ignition switch on and have an assistant look at the dashboard, that should get your lights coming on. So what we've done there is we've taken the rheostat module and the rheostat itself out of the system completely, and we're just shorting, if you like, the power straight to the lights themselves. So if we've got power to pin number 6 and we've connected that to pin number 8 and you still don't have any lights on your dashboard, then really what you've confirmed there is that the problem isn't with either the rheostat module or the rheostat. The problem must either be somewhere downstream of that. It's presumably going to be the wiring harness itself or the earths for the lights themselves, or possibly somehow every single light has blown. Now, connecting the jumper wire between pins 6 and 8 has got your dashboard lights working again. You might be tempted just to leave it like that with the jumper wire connected and do away with the rheostat module and the rheostat altogether. I'd recommend you don't for two reasons. The first is it's a bit of a bodge, and we don't like bodges. They give fine Lotus cars poor reputations for reliability. But more seriously, when the module and the rheostat are connected, the output from the rheostat module, even when the rheostat's turned fully upwards, is only just over 10 volts. And the reason for that is that there's quite a lot of lights in the dashboard there, and if they all get 12 volts, it just gets too hot, so you're in danger of causing a dashboard fire. So that really, if you're going to put the jumper wire in as a temporary solution, then at the very least put about a 10 ohm resistor in the line as well, just to limit the current a little bit and just so your lights don't get full battery voltage. Next test. The module needs to be earthed. So with your voltmeter on the resistance range setting, check that that pin number 5, gives you a good earth. So have the black lead clamped to a known good earth. Stick the other probe into pin number 5 there, and as you can see, yeah, that's fine. We've got hardly any resistance there on the voltmeter. So earth is good. Okay, to test the rheostat, the easiest way I think to test the rheostat is actually to test it with by measuring the resistance at the terminals as they come into the module. Now, the terminals that are connected to the rheostat are this one, pin number 4, that's one of the big ones, and then the two small ones, the two little ones, which are at the top left and bottom left as you're looking at the socket there. So they're pins numbers 9 and 7. And what we're going to do is we're going to measure the... I just can't show you this because I just physically haven't got the room to sort of hold the camera and get the voltmeter in here at the same time. But what we're going to do is we're going to measure the resistance between this pin, bottom left pin, and pin number 4, top right. The resistance between this pin, the bottom left, and top left, the two little pins if you like, and the resistance between the little pin at the top left and pin number 4, the big pin at the top right position. And I'm going to put a chart up there which is showing the sort of resistances you should get. What you'll need while you're doing this is you'll need an assistant sat there twiddling the rheostat to the left and right, so twisting it clockwise and then anti-clockwise and then trying it again in the middle. And basically, as long as you get the sort of resistances I'm going to show on the chart, and as long as the resistances change as your assistant moves the rheostat clockwise and anti-clockwise, then that confirms that your rheostat is probably okay and the wiring to and from the rheostat themselves is okay. If your testing's shown that it's the rheostat itself that's faulty, then the way to remove it is you're going to need a little screwdriver, and you're going to need to peel out the centre of the button here, the thing that's got the picture of the bulb on it. When you flip that out, there's a screw underneath there. Undo that screw and then you can remove the rest of the body of the knob itself. When you've got the knob off, then there's a gland nut behind there which holds the rheostat to the dashboard. So unscrew that nut and then push the rheostat out through the back of the dashboard. Then you just have to go firking up from underneath the dashboard and reach up inside and take the rheostat body out and disconnect the wiring connector, which is just behind the rheostat, just there. If the testing's shown that it's your rheostat module that's the problem, then you can have a go at fixing it. And once you've taken it apart, it's a little miniature microelectronic circuit board here. And there are two different types. One was made by a company called BMI, one was made by a company called Pectron, neither of which are making these anymore. But, I mean, you can repair it if you're handy with a soldering iron. All the transistors and the diodes that tend to blow up on these things are still available. To be honest, at the moment, it's not really worth your trouble, though. These rheostat modules are available for just over £10 from SJ Sports Cars in Devon at the moment, and the rheostat itself is also available for a similar sort of price. So while there's still stock in the shops, it's far easier for you just to buy a new one and sub that in.
And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God said, "There you go, job's a good one. Amen."